can you tell us more about the work of your organization?
Okay, so Act for the Disappearance was created to support the family demands to know the fate of their loved one in Lebanon. So in Lebanon we have 5,000 to 8,000 missing, and so Act aims to bring reparation to the families of the missing, to accompany them in their search to know the fate of their loved one. And it's also, our main objective is also to contribute to clarify the fate of the missing. So we have several activities. You want me to talk about the activities now? Okay, so we created 1 year ago a digital memorial for the missing in Lebanon, because in Lebanon we still don't have a list of the missing 30 years after the end of the war. So the objective of the memorial is to create like a kind of a profile page for each missing person, and to collect the stories of the missing from their family members. So we recruit volunteers to meet with the families and to have an interview with these families, and with the information we collect, we create this profile page online. So for now we have more than 200 profile page, and we already trained more than 80 students to conduct these interviews. One of the other objectives we have is, as I said, to contribute to the clarification of the missing. So we started 1 year ago an investigative project to gather information on the disappearance of the missing, on places of disappearance, and on the location of the mass graves.
Okay, so we know that, and you also mentioned this in your presentation, that most of the disappearances in Lebanon happened during the Civil War. So I want to ask you about how this fact transforms your work. What are the specific difficulties to conduct work on disappearances occurred during a civil war?
It's difficult because, first of all, in Lebanon we don't have a transition, a political transition. So the people who were the leaders of the war, the majority are still in power today. So of course they don't want to address the issue of the missing. They don't have any political interest in addressing the issue. So it's difficult because we are working against the will of the authorities. The other major challenge is the fact that in all communities in Lebanon we have victims, so we have missing people, but we also have the perpetrators. And it's difficult because if I'm a family member and I have a missing loved one, in my communities there are also people who kidnapped individuals from other communities. So first of all, it's difficult to bridge between family members from all communities, and it's difficult also to convince the society that addressing the past is important because they don't want to reopen the file of the Civil War. For many reasons, but one of them is that they fear that it's going to revive the tension between communities. Also because they don't want to address their own responsibility in the war. So what is very difficult is, as I said, there is no political will, and we have to face this political will, but we also have to face the unwillingness of the society to address the issue. So the families of the missing are very isolated in the society, and they really feel abandoned.
So it's like a taboo can we say that it's like a taboo subject in Lebanese society? Or? It's
kind of a taboo, I would say. I mean, for example, as society organization, we are not threatened by the authorities. I mean, I would say that, I mean, in all activity we don't have any problem with the authorities. But it's kind of a taboo because I would say that the policy of amnesia worked pretty well. I mean, most of the Lebanese don't want to reopen this file. So it's a taboo in the sense that, yes, I mean, people don't want to talk anymore about that because they just think that it's just going to reopen the wounds without bringing in a solution. So why we would reopen the wound if we are not able to find closure? And they feel that we cannot find closure because of this political class who don't have any interest in addressing the issue.
And like when a family decides to learn more about the fate of their beloved ones, if they have somebody who was disappeared in their family, like in that process of finding out what has happened to him or her, what kind of concrete obstacles that they need to face?
I mean, most of families, right after the disappearance of their loved one, try to investigate the fate of their loved one. So they met with a lot of political leaders trying to get information or trying to get contacts with family with fighters who might have information. They also tried religious leaders. But after 30 years, very few families are still trying to investigate because, I mean, it's becoming much more complicated to get any information. Some of the families also went to Syria because I said we have 100 cases of people who have been transferred to Syria. But today, I mean, I would say that the options of the families to know what happened are mainly focused on lobbying for a draft law for the creation of a national commission to investigate the fate of the missing. It's a draft law that was created by civil society organization and that is pending in Parliament since 2012.
There was another commission which was created.
There have been 3 commissions, but none of them managed to get answer on the fate of the missing. They were designed to fail. They were designed by the authorities to fail.
But this one is designed by the civil society.
This one is it's a draft law that about the creation of a national commission that would be where representative of civil society organization and family members will be represented, and there is a lot of I forgot the word for that. I mean, a lot of precaution to make the work of the commission independent from the authorities, independent from the army and from the internal security forces, and also to give resources to this commission to undertake its work. So it's one of the main demands of the families today in Lebanon is the adoption of this draft law. In parallel, there is the International Committee of the Red Cross who started in 2012 to collect the anti-disappearance data from families of the missing. So it's all information about the missing that will allow us to identify the human remains once the mass grave is going to be exhumed.
Like my last question is about the mass graves. In your presentation, you mentioned that there was like only one mass grave where Lebanese soldiers who were kidnapped and killed by the Syrian army was buried. It was like open and there was a process about that mass grave. But can you tell us more about the mass graves in Lebanon and like what kind of initiatives are within the commission?
Yeah, so there are hundreds of mass graves all over the Lebanese territory. So as you said, there is only one grave that was exhumed according international standards or best practices, and where we managed to identify the remains. It's the grave that was based at the Ministry of Defense, and it's because there was a political will to exhume the graves. So the army decided to exhume the grave because the people buried were Lebanese soldiers. So because of this political will, it was possible. But for the rest of the mass graves, there is no political will to exhume the graves. So the priority today for us is to protect these graves because they are at high risk to be destroyed because of construction. And it's mainly, I mean, it's really an issue in Beirut, for example, where there is a lot of construction since years. So there is an urgent need to locate the graves in order to protect them. There is also an urgent need to collect the information from the perpetrators before they pass away, because we're going to lose the chance, the opportunity to give answers to the families. Regarding the graves also, there is the RCRC who started 1 year ago to collect the DNA sample from the families in order to be able to identify the human remains once the graves will be exhumed. But for now, there is no exhumation of the graves. What is happening is that from time to time human remains are found on construction. Most of the time the police is not informed about this discovery, accidental discovery, and it's a big issue because most of the time the remains are reburied or they are destroyed, they are burnt. And when the police is informed, we documented 32 cases where the police have been informed about the discovery of human remains. But because there is no capacity in Lebanon for now and no awareness from the police, from the forensic and from the judiciary, the exhumation and the identification process is not done properly. So the remains are not exhumed properly, and there is no investigation about the identity of these human remains, and most of the time the authorities are not able to identify the remains and render the bodies to their families. So a lot of these remains have been kept in morgues, and when the morgues are full, they are just removed and buried, and there is no track of them. And we also heard that some of them are kept in box in some judiciary palace in several regions. And again, I mean, there's no track of that. So we will never be able to identify these human remains and never able to give answers to the families. So it's really, there is really an urgent need to locate the graves and protect them.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks.